Hey guys, so this video is going to be about my realization and just things that I've gone throughout my entrepreneurship and life. And I just want to talk to you guys about my experience and just share it to you guys, so maybe you guys could relate and reflect your life, and maybe you guys could gain something out of this, because I had this huge realization about life. I've been pretty much really resting. I realized I definitely need a rest than me working myself thin. I've been doing a lot and I've been really stressed out, and right now I'm ready to just comment and just let everything just, if it comes my way, it comes my way, and just let things, just let it go, just let it be how it is. And so I'm wanting to do this video because I was up a lot last night just thinking about this, and I think this is so important to share. And it might be a little odd, this video, about what I'm gonna be discussing. So lately I've been doing a lot of meditation, trying to calm myself down. I'm realizing I need to match my frequency and all this stuff. So I'm seeing that me doing the meditation and relaxing, I can think more clear and I can see why this or that, like a lot better, honestly. And I'm just realizing that a lot of me really doing these videos is basically I'm talking to myself. Like, all of you guys are just different versions of me, and I'm gonna go and get into this. So what I've realized is that pretty much, which I've known this for a year now, and I think during my entrepreneurship, right at the beginning, this is when I kind of learned things, and then things were accelerating, and then I didn't know how to handle it. And so I'm gonna go and discuss here. So at the very beginning of my entrepreneurship, this is kind of where it really began, my realization and my thoughts changing. And I'm gonna discuss a little bit more on just like spiritual side. I'm really not been into the idea of spiritual kind of subjects and thoughts, but I think the more that I go into this entrepreneurship and to realize things about myself, that there is a spiritual side, and I didn't realize that until recently. And so the beginning of this year, I've already known this, that technically we are kind of in a kind of like a car, figuratively, okay? So let's just pretend that I'm driving a car, right? And throughout our entire life we are driving a car, technically. And so when we are driving in the car, sometime in life, and let's say you're on the road and just keeps on going, and your life is the road, you just keep on going and you're in this car. And there are times in my life where I felt that I have been yanked out of this car, figuratively. And basically what happens is that I'm driving and then I will get yanked out, and I feel like something or someone has like punched me and kicked me all over, and then I get ran over by several cars over and over and over and over again, and then finally it stops, and I'm bloody and I'm really gross because I've been ran over several times, and I go and brush myself off, right? And then I get in the car and I keep driving. And then there are times when I'm in this car and there are like in the trunk of your car, there's stuff in it, right? And I have felt in this car that there's been stuff in this trunk, and figuratively it's burdens by certain things. And then you know how you have a passenger seat, and so normally when you have a passenger seat right next to you, you think of a close acquaintance or friendships. And so I go and have these friends or close acquaintances in the passenger seat, and there are times in my life while I'm driving that I've been slapped and I've been punched while I am driving. And I thought that's just how it is. I honestly thought that's kind of how life was. And then I kind of went and realized that honestly, I went and discussed to other forums about my experiences in life, and they would go and like my post, or they would go instead. I'm pretty sure they read it, because they will do a video that pertain kind of to what I've said in the post, and they went and did video about, there's this one specific one, and he did this video where a lot of what I said in the post was in my life that I've been reacting. I didn't know this, and I was like, that's weird. And so I have thought a lot about, you know, what I have experienced in life, and yeah, it is true, because the times that I felt like I have been yanked out of my car, and cars have rolled over me, and I've been punched, and, you know, I've been, you know, kicked around, and then I brushed myself off. Honestly, these would be like the equivalents of certain, like, I feel circumstances, or my just people that have really, really like screwed me over like big time, and or really like have hurt me in some deep way. And honestly, I've thought about it, and I was like, you know, I could have really prevented these certain events or these things that have happened, and I could have just locked the car. That way they couldn't even have, you know, yanked me out of the car and I get ran over several times. And I have this mentality in my head that if something major happens, or you know, circumstance, that I'm gonna brush myself and move on. And I'm very persistent kind of person, and so whatever happens, I just pick myself up. And so I have this mentality where I do not give up, but certain things will hurt me, and I don't know that hurt me. So what I'll do is I feel like I brush myself off, and I get in the car and I keep driving. And then my weight of the trunk has gotten heavier. And when you are driving a car, figuratively, then, or any real actual car, and when you put things in a trunk, the car goes slower. It's using more gas because it's heavier. So you kind of have to think of yourself in that way, where when you brush yourself off and you think you have healed or moved on or whatever, then you get in the car, but sometimes you're putting things in the trunk and you're carrying it. And I didn't understand this until recently, and well, till last night, that I realized that. And I have just realized that if I just locked the car, I would not have been yanked out of the car, gotten ran over, beaten, and punched, and then something is left in my trunk, pretty much. And so I've realized that. And then when it comes to a passenger, like close acquaintance or friend, and someone that you feel connected to, because generally when you allow someone in the passenger seat next to you, there's some kind of connection. Usually when it comes to, you know, when you're driving car, usually that's how it goes. And so I have figuratively felt like that I have been punched randomly and been slapped randomly, and I will go and figuratively say, get out of my car, and then I will drive off, kind of. And then, and driving off could be in a figurative sense that you went and blocked them, or you just ignore them, or you avoid them, whatever. And so you think you move on and you keep driving the car, right? But when you are slapped or punched or something like that, there's usually a leftover sting, and I was not addressing that, and I didn't know this. I thought that me just moving along the car and then having stuff in the trunk, so after I've been slapped or punched, then I was leaving something in the trunk. I didn't understand this. And so I just kept moving that car, and I thought that everything was going to be okay and life was going to continue. Well, no, apparently not, because that trunk got heavier and heavier and heavier, making you slower and slower and slower as you move along in life. So I didn't know that. And so I have realized that to go and prevent that to happen and make sure that the people that you choose, or whatever circumstance, event, whatever it is, that when you get slapped or punched, you need to be very careful who you allow in that passenger seat. So I have realized that, and I've done a lot of self-reflection and realizing that I need to address what is in the trunk of this car so I don't keep going slower and slower. And I went and realized that throughout my life, I've known a life where everything has been anxiety ridden. I didn't know this. So I went through life with this anxiety mentality, and I had this tunnel vision of this or that. And so that's what really caused me to go and have certain wrong situations of people in the passenger seat where I get punched or slapped, or getting yanked out of the car and feel like cars ran over me multiple times over and over. And yes, these situations have taught me to brush myself off and to keep driving the car. And that's kind of what I've done a lot in my life, but I didn't know that there was stuff in the trunk and I had to address it. And so that's kind of what I'm realizing a lot, that basically in life, like figuratively, we are driving a car and we have control over who is going in and out of that car, or near the car, period. You can lock the doors, have your windows up, and then then be careful on who you allow in the passenger seat next to you. And then when it comes to the seat behind you, normally you have, I guess, like friends or who extra people. And so you have to be a little more selective, because if you have extra people in the back, that can carry on over, just like the people in the passenger seat next to you. So your passenger seat would be that extra people. And so what I've been wanting is to have you guys, my subscribers, or the people that follow me in general, you guys are in the back seat and you guys are following along with me in life and seeing what I experience. And so that way you guys can apply it in your life and go and make it a very fulfilled life, because that is what we are that's what we want in life, is a fulfilled life, whatever we deem is fulfillment. And so pretty much that me creating this channel is I'm having you guys in my back seat and I'm driving the car, and you guys are getting to experience that. So that's kind of what I really realized about the car and all that. And I knew that I'm driving the car all along this entire year. I know this, but I didn't know that sometimes I need to lock the car, put up my windows, and really look on who is in the passenger seat right next to me and who is behind me and what is in the trunk. And that is, once I figure that out, then my car is empty and I can just keep driving this car without it being very heavy. And so that's kind of what I really realized a lot. And I've realized that, like I told you guys, I was not a huge person into the idea of simulation and whatnot. But honestly, after the things that have happened to me, which I'm going to give examples, I'm realizing more and more that possibly we are in a simulation by my certain experiences in life. So basically, I'm going to get into that. But I've just realized a lot in my life that it's been reaction after reaction after reaction. And that's why my life just feels very heavy, because it's reaction after reaction. And now, after coming up with this realization that, I'm getting riled up or a rise is coming out of me, that I need to step back, get out of my body, and just see what the situation on what it really is, than me just immediately snapping and not even thinking. And so that's kind of what I've done a lot. And I think that a lot of the times we think in our head that because a lot of my life that I've thought that all my battles are in my head, but in reality, no, it's like, yeah, it's in our head, but also it's in the external world too. And I didn't seem to understand this until now. And I want you guys to understand it. So I'm going to go into a little bit more. So I think that a lot of what has changed me a lot was when 2020 rolled in. So throughout my entire life, I have discussed that I went and kind of lived a life where I do what I'm told, and you're supposed to follow these outlines to have a happy, fulfilled life. That's kind of what I was taught. So you go to high school, you graduate, right? Then you get all A's and whatnot, and then you go into college. Basically what I did. Then I made all A's, whatever. And then, I had like multiple jobs and all that, and was pretty successful on all of these jobs that I've done. And while in college, I was making all A's. And honestly, at this time period, I didn't understand abundance mindset. And so I was working like 4 jobs, and I was running myself thin, and I was not thinking, period. And so there were a lot of problems that happened in college, and I was not thinking, and I was just reacting over and over and over and over again. I didn't seem to understand that. And so I went and I was pretty successful in college and in all my jobs, but I was still unhappy, and I couldn't seem to understand why that is. Because from the outside looking in, you see someone that seems to be very successful, but internally, I was not happy. Like, nobody wants to work like 4 jobs and working on side hustles and working full-time school, making all A's, like around the clock, and you have no room to breathe, and you feel like you tying your shoelaces is being timed. It's not a fun experience. And so I was very miserable, but from the outside looking in, a lot of people around me were very jealous, but they didn't know what was going through my head. And I was very in tune, just focused on these jobs and college, that I didn't really notice that people were being jealous of me or whatever. And so then I went and, I just focused on college, and then I graduated and I got into this program where the top students get in this program and you get you get a master's degree, you get it all paid for, you get a job, and they pay for everything pretty much. And, I followed the outline because that's kind of how I was taught that you're supposed to go about life, is you graduate and then you get your job, and then you go and you're 9 to 5, and then you work till 60 or 70, probably 70 at this point, with how the economy is, and then you die. And so I thought that after college and getting the job, you're dead and that's it, and happily ever after, you get married, blah blah. Turns out not really. And so I went and graduated, and I was taught at a very young age that to be successful, you have to have a PhD, or else, you're really dumb, is kind of the attitude that I was taught. And so I was really pushing myself for that kind of life, the whole academic life, and then, get that 9 to 5, and then you're dead. And so I went and, really pushed it, and I got the, I was about to be in that master's program. I got accepted and all that, and they kept calling me over and over and over again. And for some apparent reason, I lost all motivation, and I couldn't seem to figure out why, because I worked so hard and I paid for, my schooling and all that, and for my bachelor's, and then I just had no motivation, even though that is kind of what I wanted and what I set myself up for and what I was taught. And I was very confused on this. Then I went and, just didn't do it. And then I was very lost. And by this time it's 2020, and I graduated. I thought this was happily ever after. No. And 2020 is when I learned that you have to have multiple streams, because I was in my last year of college, and I was paying for it all. And so I couldn't make the excuse that since COVID was happening, I can't pay for student stuff. And so I had to come up with different streams of income. I think that's when my mentality kind of changed a lot. And so that's when things started to change for me and my thought processes. And this entire time I'm working around the clock, not thinking straight, and I'm anxiety ridden, because that's kind of all that I know. The household that I grew up in is the news was always on, and it was always negative news, always. And so I kind of lived a life where it was just constant noise, and I didn't understand calmness. I was not taught this. And so the idea of calmness kind of freaked me out, because I've just never lived that kind of life. And so pretty much I went and just, I graduate, and then I look for the job, right? And so I'm looking, and the one job that I really want, I didn't get. And it really bothered me, because I thought this was what my path was, and then I died. And then I got really confused, and I kept applying for, other jobs, and kept going. Everyone was telling me don't give up, so I kept doing it. And there were some people that wanted me. And it just, for some reason, my body was saying, no, don't take it. So I did not. And so I was very lost at this point, because I thought it was happily ever after, and then I'm gonna die. And so then I went and had to step back and think of, okay, maybe I need to do something else. And so I was very lost, because it seemed like I had everything, right? From the outside looking in, I have everything. And then all of a sudden, this different circumstances were, happening. And, the side hustles I was looking at didn't include my degree at all. So I was extremely lost. And so I just kept focusing on the side hustles that were working in 2020. And then I kind of moved out. And then things started changing. Then I went and ran into, so I was still friends with a couple of people from my workplace. And one of them, I felt very connected in a way. And she went and taught me this very important lesson about being in the moment. And honestly, I was being in the moment when she taught me. After like a year of the friendship, she kept stressing over and over again. And so I was living in the moment, and I think this was 2021. And then there was one point where she wanted me to take her and her friend, another friend that I don't even really know that well, but I was like, okay, fine, whatever. So I went and took them on a trip, and this entire time, this friend didn't even know she was gonna do this. She was in the passenger seat, and she was making fun of me the entire time. And it was all the way to Dallas, and it was to Six Flags, and she kept saying, I am this, I am that, blah, blah, blah. And it was very mean things the entire way. So it was a 3-hour drive, and I was getting very angry over this. And I didn't know how to handle the situation because I've never been. And I already promised I would drive them over there. And it was for my friend's birthday. And so I wanted to really kick her out of my car, but I didn't know if I should do that because I already promised that I would take them there. So I went and just finished it out, and I took them there. And then the entire time for this trip, her friend was treating me like a maid, and I was very upset over it, and I didn't know how to get out of the situation. Technically, I could have just gotten in my car and just drove off and then leave them there, but I went and promised them that I would take them there and then drive them back. So I just dealt with it. And so the entire time she's making fun of me, and she was, treating me like a maid. And then my real friend, well, I thought was a real friend, would, she just went along with it. And that really bothered me. So when I went and finally dropped her friend off after her saying rude things, I went and blocked her friend. And then that was my way of like, okay, you're not allowed in my car ever again, and figuratively. And so I went and drove off, and then I was still friends with the main friend here. And she and I still hung out and all that, but there were several times that I really realized that she didn't value my time, and we would make plans, and then last minute she would cancel. So there was this one point in my life where I went and said that, hey, I cleaned up my entire place for you, and I had things planned and all that. And she, at the time, she was also having me do all this extra stuff that was very unnecessary and really stressing me out, and it was impeding my inner peace. But throughout my life, I've been kind of used to this feeling, and so that, honestly, I thought that was just normal, and basically that's what I was taught in my life, like growing up. And so I just went and just didn't listen to it, my inner peace, and I just did it. And so I think my cutoff was when I cleaned up my place, and she went and canceled last minute, and I went and just blocked her because it just really bothered me. She was not valuing my time, did not give a crap because of her other friend just berating me, and then didn't do anything about it, and then this. And so I honestly thought I learned my lesson, honestly. And the main reason I think I very much admired her was because she was always in the moment, and she had this like calm energy, and she was always very much into like marijuana and all that. And I guess the people that I connect with is kind of I have thought in my mind of what it's like to live a certain lifestyle. So she went and lived a lifestyle where she got to do whatever the heck she wants and just live through her life and live to it the max. But the main thing was that she was constantly in struggle in life. And so, but I really admired her for her living in the moment and living life, just living life. And I really admire that, and I think that's why I had her latched to me, and we would just talk about life a lot. And I just remember distinctly that we would go to the park and just talk about life. And so I felt very connected to her. And so that's kind of why I think I was friends with her for several years. And so I thought that I learned the lesson to be in the moment. And apparently I did not. So we had the fallout, right? And then I went and that's when I went and did side hustles. And I put my focus on that, and because the job thing wasn't working, so I went and did side hustles, and I found several that I really liked and loved. And I went, and I think that this particular side hustle went and gave me what I always wanted in life: appreciation, feeling heard, the wealth that I've always craved for, and just being seen. And I got all those things from the side hustle. And I think that I got really scared, and I didn't understand that. And so that's kind of when things started to shift, and my old beliefs were coming in. And I was taught throughout life, like I told you guys, that the only way to make a living is through a 9 to 5. And other than that, if you don't do that, then you're a loser, basically, is what I was taught. And so here I was doing really great on my side hustles, and I was telling my family, oh, I'm doing great, blah, blah, blah. And then, they would say stuff, and they're like, yeah, right, blah, blah. And so I was questioning myself. And so that's when I had this mentality in my brain that I need to look for a 9 to 5. So when I was doing the side hustles, I made a lot of connections. And there was this one client that I very much connected with. And so she went and I did like organizing and all that. And I was like, so she moved into a new place. And then I went and helped her, unpack and everything. And that's when I really got to know her, because I was showing up every day. And like I told you guys, I kind of sense what people's desires are. Like, I can sense things in people. And so I was helping her with her goals when I was unpacking. I was being intentional where I put things. So I went and was there a lot, and she offered me a job. It was this caregiving job, and I stayed there for quite a bit, and I was extremely very happy because it did give me what I have felt from the side hustles. And I thought, honestly, I could stay there and I'd be happy with this 9 to 5 for the rest of my life. And so I went and did that. And, I went and took care of kids and, the husband. And I went and I felt very connected to this person because I very much admired her positivity towards life. And realizing the things that I admire in people is what I admire myself, but I didn't realize this. And so she, I guess deep down I was positive, but honestly I didn't know, because on the outside I was very negative a lot. And so we would talk about life, and she kind of really gave me that sense of what I wanted of like a mother figure. I've felt that I didn't feel very connected to my mom. She just, kind of mean, I guess, and really didn't want to be around me and all that, and would just say things. And so things that I don't think a parent should say sometimes. And so when I would go and talk to, my new employer doing this caregiving, I felt so connected because she gave me that mother figure of what I wanted. She went and encouraged me to do whatever I want in the world. And I just felt this connection that somebody believed in me. And I would go and, help her out with her goals and all that. And she didn't believe in herself for certain things. And so I went and made her believe in herself that she could do these certain goals that I knew that she desired. And so I went and did that. And I was there for a year. And then I was making good money and all that. And then I think that feeling of, the calmness and the, feeling like you're being heard and seen, it came back to me. And I think also, I think I was still doing a little bit of side hustle, but mainly just this 9 to 5. And I think that I freaked out over this again. And I went and my old beliefs were coming in. And I went and just kind of changed my, I don't know, like the way my thought process was, my old beliefs. I didn't know it was my old beliefs. I know about old beliefs and all that, self-improvement, but I honestly did not know what it looked like. And so I couldn't seem to understand my thought process. But I went and self-sabotaged myself, my happiness, and I went and convinced my husband, let's move. So we decided to move in the middle of nowhere, and he got a job. And when I told my employer that this 9 to 5 I'm finally happy at, she started crying, and it was just very devastating. So I went and moved here, and this new place, I had the thought process, I'm gonna make it, right? And so I went and thought, I can start over and do side hustle or new job. Like I had this mentality, I needed a 9 to 5. So a weekend I was unpacking, and I was kind of really scared, honestly, being in this new town. This was like 8 hours away. And so I eventually went and finally got out of the apartment after a week of unpacking. And I went to the dog park, and of all people, I met this person that had a business, and it was pertaining to the side hustle that I felt very connected with. And she was saying she had an opening for a business, and I was like, awesome. And so we connected very well, and this was off the bat. And I think it was 1 month later I went and started working there. And at first it was amazing. I felt connected, and she was love bombing me. And I like the best treatment that I've ever received in my entire life, like someone that just met me and then I get this amazing treatment. And so I was loving it. And then things started to shift, and I went and told her about the potential profits in organizing, but it has to be done in a certain way. And so she went and took advantage and kind of went and really had me out and doing all the jobs, and she was keeping the money. And I didn't know this. And, when she saw how good I was, because at the very beginning, she was telling me how great I was of cleaning, that's her business, and then the organizing. And then after she saw how good I was and, complimenting me, she started to go and bring me down. And she was projecting herself. At the time, I didn't understand that when people say mean things, it's projecting on what they feel out to you, but I didn't know that. And so I was internalizing what she was saying, and it really bothered me. And it was very much reminding me of what my mom was saying to me, very mean things. And so I felt like it was like back in that certain spot in my life, and I thought I got away from this environment, but here it is again, and it was triggering me, and I was getting upset. And I went and just took it, and then I ended up having a breaking point, and I just up and left. And she was just very mean. And then she went and wanted to apologize. And I was like, okay, so we met up. And since I thought that she, honestly, this entire time, I forgot about her saying good things about my work. But so I thought she thought I was very terrible. And then we sit down, and she was like, I was saying, I'm going to be on my own. I am ready to be on my own. And I really realized that I was an entrepreneur kind of personality. And she was like, oh, well, why don't we share clients? And I was like, that's when I kind of really realized what the intention was. And so she believed that I could do it, but she was just trying to bring me down to her level so I would not realize my potential. And so I was like, I didn't want there to be an argument at this, at this restaurant and all that, because when she got angry, she gets angry. So I was like, okay, whatever, sure. And so we walk out, and, I went and showed that I am a lot, better. I'm not, in this mindset where, I am this crappy person, all that you were saying. I went and showed that I am a bigger person. So I went and forgave her and moved on. And afterwards, she kept trying to get in my circle and all that, and I was just not having it, because I really realized that she did not have good intentions. And also, her employees quit on her at around this a month later when I left. And so so I was like, no, I don't want to. And she got very upset that I blocked her. But I knew she did not have good intentions. And so I went and, I went and tried other businesses. And, I did side hustles. And I really kept trying to make it in this new town. And I just felt like I could not. I was having a lot of issues with the apartment situation. It was like a really nice apartment, but it was like outside. From the outside, it looked gorgeous. From the inside, when you look closely, there were a lot of issues. The shower didn't work, I believe, for 2 hours. So I couldn't even shower for 2 months, and they're having me pay expensive or a lot of money into this apartment. And I was getting very stressed also that she was, taking my money. And so it was a very stressful situation. So I just wanted to just up and leave. And when I was driving, back to my hometown, I was just kind of done with it all. And that's when, honestly, I have this thoughts in my head that I'm just there. I'm just a person on the street, and I'm just there. And I'm invisible, kind of, is my thought process. And so I was very surprised when I was driving back, and I know that I was reacting, and I was trying to have this positive mindset, and my husband and I would visit the places that we love, and then we would head back. But I know that back then, as I think of it, I was reacting because I was upset still over what happened. And so I was driving back, and I got multiple text messages telling me that people were gonna miss me and they wanted me to work, come back and work for them. And I was really surprised. I had many clients, flooding my phone saying they want me at that specific time. And I was like, and I think that's when I really realized that I am being seen and heard, and I am actually really good at what I do. And the projections that she did were untrue about me. And so, but by then I already signed the papers. I was just done. And plus I was in this mad state. So I just kept going, and I came back into my new town. And as I reflect on this person was literally the exact reflection of myself. I'm not even joking, like, not as in body wise, but the reflection on my desires and my hopes and dreams, and what I wanted out of life and fulfillment, and the way we view the world. Honestly, this person was the exact reflection of me. I've never met anyone else but this person, the exact reflection of me. And I was very heartbroken over this situation because, I've only known this person for 3 months, but it was such a huge impact because this person was literally the exact reflection of myself. I saw so much of me in this person. And it was very heartbreaking because I wanted this person in my life because I really saw myself in there, and they could show me the way on changing the world and, go and implement what we both know in our heads out into the world and change it better. And we both wanted to bring more hope in the world. And so it was very heartbreaking for me to just move on with my life and all that, because I had this deep connection with this person, that we just saw eye to eye on how we view the world. But I think that honestly, as I reflect on it, that this person was very much, her desire was wealth, notoriety, and wealth, notoriety, and changing the world, and fame. She really wanted that. And I could tell it. I don't think she wanted to admit it, but I could definitely tell that is what she really wanted in the world. And in for herself, she wanted wealth, but the way she was doing it was wrong. And I honestly think that that's why I felt so connected, because these are my thoughts and my desires of what I want. And I'm realizing, obviously, for entrepreneurship, it's more than that. And if you focus on those things of wealth, a lot of entrepreneurs focus on wealth. And obviously, a lot of them end up, being an entrepreneur because, there's wealth in it. But there's a lot of blocks that you go through to get that wealth. And if you're not willing to go through these blocks, then you're not going to get the wealth. And so I think that she just wanted wealth and couldn't seem to understand what it took and what it really meant. And if you just focus on wealth, then you're just going to live a very unhappy life. And if you just focus on fame and notoriety, you're going to live this unhappy life. Because personally, entrepreneurship, I've always viewed entrepreneurship is for solving world problems and also for wanting to change the world for the better and to spread your ideas out, honestly, and just have fun and view it as like fun entertainment pretty much, than you having everything preset. Because when you have a 9 to 5, everything's preset. But when you're an entrepreneur, not everything is preset. It's just everything's out in the open and it's a free-for-all pretty much. And so pretty much that's what I've learned, that what I want, it's not just wealth and fame and all that. I want to have my fun, pretty much. And it's boring to have everything preset. And I think that she didn't seem to understand that. But yeah, it's just fun and entertainment, because she would take that fun and entertainment out and just focus on the wealth. And that's when a lot of entrepreneurs get very unhappy, when they focus on wealth and fame, notoriety, and they don't remember why they did it, is because of the fun, and it's not preset, planned out, and you get to experience such an adventure. And so that's what I've realized, and it was very heartbreaking for me to just leave that situation, because I felt so connected to this person. So then, I was like very hurt, and I didn't really realize that I was still very hurt by it. So I went and left. I came back to my 9 to 5, and she was very happy, and things went well and all that. And then there were some situations that, personal reasons, I had to leave. And it was very heartbreaking, because I felt this connection, that she was kind of like a mom to me, that very much encouraged me to do whatever, and was so positive, and saw me in the way that I want to be seen. And so, yeah, it was very hard for me. So it was very heartbreaking for her too. And, she saw that I really believed in her to meet her goals. And, I think that the thing that, we had in common was that we both wanted to believe in ourselves. Honestly, when I self-reflect on this, that's why we were in each other's life, because we wanted both to believe in ourselves. So then I had to leave. And then I think that, I went back to my side hustles, and I was pretty happy. I started all over finally. And, at the time, there were a lot of things that were happening when I was at 9 to 5 at that person's place. And, I was living somewhere I did not want to be. And then I went and moved into a new apartment. I thought this was a start over, after everything that I've gone through. And I thought I put it past myself, honestly. So I went and, moved into this apartment thinking everything's great. And, I was doing great and all that. I was doing my old thing and all that. And, I was very happy. And then this happened. So when we were here for, I think it was 2 or 3 months, and then this person, my husband's friend that he's known for a very long time, needed help. And I was like, okay, sure. And because he told me she was to be trusted. And if you guys have followed me throughout my entrepreneurship, you will see that I have discussed about this person before for Journal of the Day. And so this is kind of where, around this time, I think, where I began my entrepreneurship. And so this person came in, and, she was going through a very rough divorce. And she needed to get on her feet. That was fine. So, and she was a couple years older than me. So we welcomed her into our place, and everything was great. She was helping out and all that, and things were doing good. And then it got a little bit different after, I think maybe like a month possibly. She got very comfortable and started to take advantage. And I've never been put in this type of situation, and I didn't know how to handle it. And so she went and pretty much gone and like she would make excuses to go to work. She would go and act a certain way in front of my husband, and then act a different way in front of me. And I was explaining to my husband on how she was acting, and he was not seeing it, and so it was very contradictory. And so I was kind of going a little crazy over this situation. And then she would just eat ice cream all day, and then she would refuse to do anything for herself. She got very comfortable, and then she went and started to date, and we were fine with that. But her date, she would take advantage of them and have them buy her a bunch of things, and then she would go and eat all our food, and I was in charge of that, and she would eat everything and have to get more, and then it was just constant. And to the point, like, she would eat everything, and then I would go hungry because at night I would find out everything's been emptied. And so it really bothered me. And then she was putting like candy wrappers like underneath the coffee table and under the couch and behind it. And I didn't know this. I wasn't seeing it. And, I was still working and all that. And she was wanting me to do all this stuff for her. And there were ants all over, and I was not sleeping properly. That literally ants were crawling all over me, and I was not sleeping. And at one point, I mentioned in Journal of the Day that I got in a car wreck because I was not sleeping. I was very stressed out, and I couldn't understand about the ants and all that, and her wanting me to do all this stuff for her. And then she went and eating everything. And then it was just so much. I was so stressed out. And this is around the time when I wanted to begin for my business. And at one point, so when she was dating, she kept telling me that she wanted to get pregnant. And honestly, as I reflect back, she wanted to feel love, honestly, because she would talk about her life and how she didn't like it. And so pretty much, so she went and was trying to get pregnant, and she wanted me and my husband to feel obligated for her to stay for another 18 years. And my husband said, this is the amount of time that you have, that's it. And so she wanted to extend it and to try to get pregnant so she'd be here for another 18 years, and until I guess the child would grow up and be able to leave. And so I was getting very upset, and I was thinking that she was going to stay another 18 years because she was saying something else to my husband. And so it was very stressful, and I was just losing it over this. And because I lost my car and all that, and I had to deal with the car situation to get rid of the old one and all that, how to get a brand new one, keep filling up the pantry and refrigerator. And I was going hungry multiple times because I was running out of money to go and fill it all up. And then at one point she took my card and spent money on it, and that was my last straw. And also she went and stained the tub and the shower curtain, and didn't even apologize till I went and said something, expected me to clean it because I do professional cleaning. And it was just very stressful because we're in an apartment and we would be responsible for it. And so Then, yeah, she took my card, spent it, and I was very upset over this. And I was just, I was livid over this. And, she mentioned that morning when I found out about my card that she also, on her own card, she went and she wanted to look hot for her date and went and got a waxing done, just like leg wax, and like nails done. And it was like nearly 200. And so here she wanted me to go, and she put my card on her whatever bills and all that. And so I was very upset that here on her card she's having a blast, and then on my card she charged her bills on my card. And so it really bothered me, and I was livid over this. So I went and told my husband, I'm done, like no more of this, she's out. So then my inner peace was just exploding at this point. And I was just done with everything. I just wanted to just break down from this because I wasn't sleeping. And so I wanted my inner peace, and I wanted to just eat breakfast in silence. That's all I cared about, because then dealing with all this going on. And so I went somewhere else to eat my breakfast, and my husband was very upset with me for not staying with her and watching her just in case she goes and, breaks stuff, steals things, whatever. So I had to come back, and right when I show up, she wanted to have me feel bad for her, and she would cry her eyes out and do the sob story and all that, and I was just not having it. So I went and sat down and just, ate my breakfast and just let her cry. And I honestly, it really bothered me because I felt like this was so much stress, and I was having this out-of-body experience to just focus on eating. I just wanted to eat breakfast. And so I just didn't know how to handle this. And so I was feeling like I was really not there. And so finally she's done crying, and then she starts taking care of the dishes. And she was begging me to stay a little bit longer. And I was like, okay, but my husband's going to be around. I'm not going to be here. I'm done. So I went and left, and she finally went and left after several days. And she left a huge mess for me. And that's kind of when I realized the candy wrappers and probably why ants are there. And so I went and got very upset. And, her doing all this, and then I find a mess that I need to clean up when I come back. And so I went and cleaned it up. And honestly, after she left, I thought that was it. I was just done. And apparently not. So apparently the mail was coming in, had her name on it, and I was very, I guess I was getting triggered by this certain experience. And so I was getting really riled up every time I saw this name around. And so I thought I moved past by this, but apparently not. And I kept moving, and that's when, I was still doing my business and keep on going, doing my business and all that. And I thought I just moved on. Apparently that was not the case. And I kept mulling over and over and over these situations, that the certain connectedness with certain people that I had, and it would replay in my head all day and all night, and it really hurt me. And I was trying my best to just not think about it over and over and over, but it was just not having it. And so it's 8 months later, and it was getting so bad. I was not sleeping, that for 8 months I was not sleeping. And I honestly, I never thought it would get to this point in my life where I have ever felt that I need a therapist. I honestly never have thought that. I would need a therapist. Honestly, and a lot of things that I have done, I've never thought I would do, like meditation, never been into the spiritual kind of thing. Visualizing, never thought that's what I would be doing. Because I've heard of all this, manifesting, I've heard of all this, but I never thought that's what would come down to. And then, getting a life coach, ever thinking of getting a life coach. Never thought I would ever do that. And then end up, being a cleaner organizer, because I honestly thought I would, had this pre-planned. I was taught at a very young age I was going to do this, and this is what you're going to do, not be a cleaner organizer. And so pretty much all that was swirling in my head, and I went and, I was trying to move forward and all that, but it just kept coming back. And, I finally went and talked to my therapist what happened. And honestly, I felt a lot better about it. And she was like, just making light of the situation. And I kind of really realized the situation that is really not that bad. It was just very much playing in my head so much that I was taking it way too seriously. And so, yeah, I felt a lot better after the discussion and all that. But, and I thought I moved on. No, it was still bothering me. And, I've been doing a lot of self-reflection on these certain people that have come into my life, or certain situations. And I've been wondering for a very long time, why is it that these people have been ingrained in my brain and really bothered me? And honestly, it just reflects back to my childhood and all that, and things that have made me a little unsafe or unworthy and all that, because this person that was I felt very emotionally connected to, because I really wanted a friend at this period, and we would talk about certain life things, about our past actually, and her past, not mine. And I felt very emotionally connected, and I got a friend, and we would talk about the past, and we we would like go and do things. And I guess that's just what I really needed at that time. And it was very hard for me to see what she was doing was wrong. And so I just felt this connection there. And also, since I've realized when I self-reflect that this main person that lived with us has been really stuck in my brain, because honestly, I've thought about, in my brain, like, I've lived throughout my life thinking that I'm homeless because of the situation when I was a child. Like I told you guys, when I was a child, like as a baby, right when I was born, I was left at a gas station by the trash can, and a police officer found me, and then I was put in an orphanage where I was starved nearly to death and mistreated, and to the point that I can't even remember what the heck happened. I have no memory of what happened. And then when I was adopted, the way I grew up was an anxiety-ridden home, and really depressed and all that, and was put down a lot. And so I took it very heavy in internalizing everything. And so I think that since my certain needs were not met, like my basic needs were met to some degree when I was adopted, but other needs were not met. And so I've lived a world in my head, which is very strange. You would have to live or gone through what I've gone through to have this kind of mind in the way I think that I'm homeless. Technically, I've never been homeless ever in my entire life, but in my brain, I was thinking I was. And I think that is why I felt very connected to this person because she was that way in the mindset too, and both feeding off of it, I guess. And also she in the external world was, and so I think that's why I've been so replaying it over and over and over and over what happened, because I'm realizing that since I've lived my entire life thinking I'm homeless, even though I've never been, and I've lived in a nice place and all that, but still in my brain, I still thought that I was kind of homeless. And so I would not let it go. So I admired her a lot, that she went and just like having a friend. I think that's why I admired her, and we would just talk about life and all that. I think that was like the connection and my why and all that. And just the way that we thought was the same. And so that's why I would not let it go at all for like nearly a year of this trying to do my business. And so I think that is what it is. I came to the realization that my old self of these certain people in my life and situations, the reason why I keep holding on to it is because I don't want to let it go. And I've realized that I gotta let it go. I gotta empty this trunk here. And so I went and, I just went and realized that. And I had this dream in this morning. And during this dream, my sister was yelling at me. And it was something about a receipt. And it felt very vivid this morning. And I went and walked away. And I felt this was actually happening right now. And I woke up and I realized that didn't even happen. And honestly, I think that is symbolism that I walk away from my old self and realize that I realized why I feel so connected with certain people, because that is my past self, and I was holding on to it for such a long time. And all I ever known is living a life where it's just very painful and miserable, because I was taught that life is suffering. And my mom told me that a lot, and the reason why I think I never went and wanted to think about religion is because my mom would view it as it's suffering, like you have to go there, you're supposed to suffer. And so in the spiritual world, because I always viewed it as suffering, and so I would steer away from that and refuse to do it. And I don't know if you're going to understand this, but that is kind of what I have found out and realized about myself. And so that's probably why I have allowed certain situations or people in my life, allowing them in my car or yank me out of the car and run me over multiple times and then stomp on me. And then I try to brush myself in and get in the car, because that I thought that the life was about suffering and you're supposed to be miserable. And that is not the case, because it is very, very sad and depressing to live like this. And I don't want to live like that. It's miserable in my head. And, I always thought that in my head, all my problems are, no, it's external world too here. And I'm realizing that, and I don't want that anymore for myself. And I keep thinking, I learned my lesson. I learned my lesson about living in the moment from my first friend. But I forgot all about that when I went and, I stopped being friends with her. And then I went and, learn like a mother figure and all that. And, that's why I was so sad it didn't work out and all that. And, believing in, myself and all that. And then the other person, I saw the exact reflection of myself. If I went through this path of just focusing on wealth and fame, notoriety, and not the funness of entrepreneurship, this is the turnout. I'd be miserable. And then the other, living in my mind that I'm homeless. And well, I've never been homeless, but in my mind I felt like that. And learning I need to drop my old self that I'm not homeless. I've never been. Like, the world is abundant and there's so much to offer to me, and it is right now. And I never went and realized that at all. I thought I did in 2021, but then I just completely forgot about it and thought I learned my lesson. Apparently not. So the reason why these certain people have come into my life, or certain situations, was to teach me a lesson. And these people are different versions of myself, because I know throughout when I began doing entrepreneurship, I saw this video that what I see in the mirror, or this camera right here, is right back at me. And I knew it to some degree, but I didn't understand it entirely of what that meant. And now I understand that what I'm seeing is right back at me, and it's just in different forms. And it'll be in different situations, but it is the same thing. That let go of your old self to go and do what you've internally always wanted to do. Because at a very young age, I think I was maybe 10, 12, I don't really know, that when I read this book, and you guys will see that back way when I started my entrepreneurship, I talked about a little bit more myself and how I got into organizing and cleaning. And when I read this book called Mandy, I saw myself cleaning. I don't know. And I just, I kind of figured that's what, but I would refuse to even think that I would end up doing that. And so I went and did everything possible to not do that. And I went and discussed that when I was younger, I've always wanted to be an entrepreneur. I've always seen things in different ways than other people. At least I've always felt that way, and I could sense things in people more because of my experiences and me trying to protect myself. And I would have out-of-body experiences to go and really observe everyone and everything around me. And so when I do my organizing, cleaning jobs, all that is really implemented in the jobs. And that is why I can sense people's desires and how I know what their goals are without them really directly telling me. And I would go and organize their place by this psychology based on what I have observed in people, and really doing all these mechanisms to protect myself. So I went and used the psychology of that into these jobs, and that's why many of my previous clients have gone and done their goals that they've always wanted to do, because of what I've gone through. And so I've always wanted to be an entrepreneur, and so I was always trying to avoid it because of certain things that I was told at a very young age that this is how life is, and that is it, and then you're dead. That's what I thought. And so that is why I think that everything is reflected back, and basically whenever you're talking to someone, it really is a reflection of yourself, but in a different body, age, and time. And so we have somehow collided in with each other to go and learn that lesson for whatever reality that they are in. So we have collided somehow to learn a lesson, because maybe they are somewhere else and doing whatever it is that they're supposed to do. And so we are here guiding each other to go and do whatever internally we have felt deeply that we were supposed to do. And you pretty much know deeply what you want to be, usually when you're a child. Maybe a little later you have to go through certain experiences, but usually as a child you already know deeply. If you're not in tune, like if you are in tune, you know deeply what you came here for. And so that's why I think we're in a simulation, and I'm really realizing that whoever I'm talking to or run into is a version of me somewhere else, and somehow on this earth we have collided. And so we are here for a lesson. And so that I think that when I reflect on certain people that have really been in my brain, because it has been a self-reflection of myself, of my beliefs. So that is what I wanted to talk about, my realization. And honestly, what I have realized is that a lot of my life I've done things to cope with the pain. I have felt for a very long time that sometimes certain situations are just too painful. And I felt for a very long time that when I was a child that I did not feel love. And so I would go and do certain mechanisms to protect myself to feel that love. So a lot of things that I've been implementing for my entrepreneurship is all the things that I have thought of throughout my life. So for an example, when I remember this distinctly, when I was a child, when I was getting screamed at and being told I'm a bad child, or I'm a bad person, or being put down constantly every single day of my life, that I would be in daydreams. Like I told you guys, I've been a daydreamer all my life. And so I would be in daydreams all the freaking time when I was a child. I have higher imagination. And so I would go and dream with my eyes open, but I'd be somewhere else in my mind, and I'm getting yelled at here. And I would go and put myself in a field of dandelions, and I would honestly wish to just not be here on earth. I just wanted to just go away and just be gone with this world. And I would constantly wish over and over and over and over again of this. And I think that is where I came up with Pastel, the unicorn, for my company, about Pastel wishing on dandelions to have a better life, is because that's kind of what I did. And I would dream about literally running around in the fields of dandelions with my white dress, and I would have unicorns around me. It was a magical place, and I would be living in this in my mind to cope with feeling like I was not loved. And so that is why I have this deep attachment towards dandelions, because of how I would always wish and wish and wish for a better life with these dandelions in my head of this field, and I'd be in a much happier, loving world. And I realize a lot of the things I have done and want is because I want love and acceptance in my life, but I didn't know how to receive it. And it comes within, and I realized that. And also there is so much love out there that I did not even realize, like the sunshine on me and how warm it is and how it makes me so much better, and I feel accepted when I'm out in the sunshine. And so, or seeing light, period. And so I think that is why I've, all the things I've come up with, the dandelions, the pastel, the mascot, the community, the organizing and cleaning, all of that has been literally, I've been dreaming of this. And I would go and just think about like billions of times over and over and over and over and over and over again, because it was a happier place than this world that felt too painful. And so pretty much that is, I think, why I went and created this idea for, this company idea and the entrepreneurship, because for the fun and just finally getting my ideas out and all that. And then just my feeling toward dandelions. And something that I realized about dandelions is that when you say I wish for this or that, there's doubt in it. And also that instead of wishing for something to be better, you need to go and you need to go and appreciate what is happening now. And if you are unhappy in the situation right now, then you get out, you walk away, just walk away. And you heal yourself, you bandage yourself before you go and keep driving that car. Because if you don't go and bandage, so if you go and get yanked out of the car, figuratively, let's go back to that. If you go and feel like you've been yanked out of the car, ran over, you've been kicked and punched out on the street, and then you go back and you keep driving that car, well, you're not bandaged up. You're gonna keep on hurting. If you go and had someone in the passenger seat, whatever event it is, not even a person, could be circumstance or situation, and you feel like you've been slapped multiple times and you've been punched multiple times and you've been knocked out unconscious, then just go and just don't even let it in. Just go and lock the doors, guys. So this is what I'm really realizing. And when you are getting punched, slapped, whatever it is, and even if it's a light one that you feel, you need to address it and really go and bandage it or learn on how to move on before you keep driving that car. Because honestly, I would hate for anyone to keep living the life that I have been living, this unhappy life internally. And from the outside in, it looks great and all that, but internally, this is how I have felt and never really discussed about. And I want to teach you guys that this is how it's like, and why I think that we're in a simulation, and my reflection. And basically when I'm talking to this camera, I'm talking to myself, just all different versions of me. A different version of me of a different time. If I was born in a different body, and if I was born in a different situation, different genetics, whatnot, and that would create my different thoughts and my different talents and all that. I'm literally just talking to myself. There is no point of me being worried about whatever, because literally it's just a different version of me. There's literally no point in being nervous. And, I used to be so nervous in front of people and all that. And honestly, I really didn't care what other people thought of me. Except for my family, because my family told me it's only family that matters, but my family put me down. But in actual reality, including family and strangers, friends, whoever the heck it is, we're just different versions of ourselves in different reality, and we have collided, and we are here to learn a lesson. Honestly, that's what there should no be reason why you should go and feel like you are just scared to be in front and talking to people and that. It's just a different version of you, just in a different body, different time, different situation, different things that you've gone through, different maybe genetics and maybe different talents and all that, but it's just a different version of you, honestly. So that's kind of what I realized, because I used to be so scared to go and talk to people like in a grocery store or something in general, like have small talk and all that. And really, I'm just hiding myself. That's it. There's nothing to be scared of. Like, just talking to myself through the camera or in the mirror. Honestly, that's what it is. And so realizing that the people that we admire are things that we admire about ourselves and don't even know. We don't even know it. We can't even explain it until you look deeper into why. And then the people that you dislike, or whatever qualities that you dislike, is because of, honestly, that you have not figured out what you dislike about your own self. Because we're all the same. We're just the reflection of ourselves. So that's kind of something that I have realized, and that honestly, I moved on, and I feel 10 times better by telling you guys this, and that I feel like there's commonalities in all of us, and we just have to realize it for ourselves and just not be scared. So I used to be very scared of people that I have felt that get whatever the heck they want in life. There's certain energy that I can feel in certain people that they get whatever the heck they want. And I feel like I can't. And honestly, that's just another version of me that's living that life. And literally, I should not be scared of myself. That's just a person, like the same like a different version of me living that life. Pretty much that's what it is. And so that literally is you in a different way, pretty much. And so that's what I'm seeing a lot, and that why I kind of steered away these people, and that, I come across as someone that gets whatever the heck they want. Like, a lot of people, see that, and then in my brain, I feel like I don't get what I want. But it's just that pretty much that I'm realizing that possibly that I have been living a life where I have fake confidence, and I'll get what I want and all that, but when I really meet people that are actually confident within themselves, that I get very I get unsettled, I guess. And so that's what I'm seeing about myself, and that I aspire to be. So, the people that I, inspired by, I think that is a version of me in a different reality. That's what I would have done. If I would have been in their circumstance, then maybe this is what would be the turnout. And that's maybe why I feel so connected to certain people, because of a certain lifestyle, because I have thought multiple times in my head, oh, what would it be like if I went and smoked marijuana all day and just live my life, live in the moment,
and all that. And I got to, kind of go and see what it'd be like by being friends with this person. Not do it, but just them talking about it. And then also see what it's like to be a mother. I got to see, because I had a job where I was doing caregiving, where I got to see what it'd be like to be a mother. And then I went and I follow certain people online where they get to travel all the time and, go and inspire others, like YouTubers and all that, that possibly if I was in their circumstances and they're, and like if I was born in their shoes, that's probably what I would turn out to be. Or the other YouTuber where all they do is they go and inspire others. They go do these speeches that are just so inspiring, and they get people to do what they want to do internally. And if I was in their shoes, that's what I'd probably end up doing, honestly. And then if I went and followed the path where my desire was only wealth, notoriety, and fame, I would probably go and follow that path. So that's why we feel certain connectedness with certain people, because maybe that's the version that we see that we would have done if we kept following that path. So that's kind of what I've came to the realization in the commonalities and that I have noticed about life, and that just don't be scared. We're all literally just different versions of ourselves, honestly, just in a different body, and different talents and whatnot. That's it. We're the same. We're literally the same, just a different version of you, just that we're put in different circumstances that can always be changed in an instant at any moment and all that, because it's all in the mind. Like I said, I would put myself in whenever I was in situations that were just too painful for myself, I would put myself somewhere else. Or I would go and watch, some kind of video where I'm in the Bahamas or something, and I can feel I'm in the Bahamas. I can go breathe the air of the Bahamas. So that's kind of what I have noticed, and that now I'm just not as scared as much to go and move on with my life and to really continue what I've seeked out to do. And that honestly, I'm not as scared to, approach people that get whatever the heck they want, because it's just a different version of me, and maybe a higher self of me that has reached a certain point. And I just have not seen that in myself. And, I dislike that about myself, and I just didn't realize it. And so whenever you go and are in a situation, if you like or dislike, go and reflect on yourself about why is it? What is the commonality of these people and all that? Because that's what have really helped me move on and to really open my heart more on just love and acceptance, and just really realizing that it comes from within, nothing else, and that the world's not as scary as it really seems to be, and it's not as painful as you think it is. Right when you're born, you don't think that, and it's until when you're older you realize you think the world is such a painful place. It's really not. And I want to go and I want to try my best to go and show people that the world is not as painful as it seems, because I have been in that place where the world seems so freaking painful that all you can do is just look away, and you do everything to prevent yourself from that pain. So yeah, guys, that's my realization. And yeah, this is my longest video, but this is just the story of the things I've gone through and what I've realized in life. And really, we're just different versions of ourselves. That's it, guys. There's nothing to be scared of, okay? The world's not as painful as it seems to be. Okay, so if you guys want to go and, you know, discuss in your what you've gone through and your realization, go put it in the comments. But all right, guys, it was nice talking to you guys. Well, talking to myself, honestly. It's just different versions, different times, and different circumstances. But really, it's just a different version of me. And I'm not as scared as much. So, yeah, go share your story, guys.